and we'll get started. Just a few items to keep in mind. Well, first, today we are going to be talking about what is Title IV-A funding. We're going to be talking a little bit about Classhook and how you can use Classhook to satisfy Title IV-A funding requirements, and then other ways in how you can use Title IV-A funding. We have the chat open, so just a few reminders here. Please use the chat with any questions. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. At the end, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. I don't think we'll need the full half hour for this, so we can get to all of your questions whenever we're done with the presentation. And we'll, of course, send the slides and the recording to you at the end, so feel free to sit back and listen and enjoy. All right, so just to introduce ourselves, I am Alex with Classhook, co-founder and CEO. I really love using popular media and looking at how can we make education more engaging and relatable. On a personal note, I love reading about science and playing video games. I used to play video games competitively for a couple of years. Takes up too much time, so I'm not doing that as much anymore. I also have with me on the Classhook team, Elena and Sahana. I'll pass off to Elena to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elena Fuente, and I'm the content writer intern at Classhook. And I really enjoy playing music and playing covers, and then also reading novels.
Wonderful. And also with us, we have Sahana.
Hello, my name is Sahana, and I'm a marketing intern for Classhook, and I enjoy running and listening to new music.
Great. So now you know a little bit about us. We have some introductions from you all in the chat as well. So thanks for joining us. And let's, without further ado, we'll get started. So like an educator, we want to talk about learning objectives. So today you're going to learn two key main things. One is how can you use Title IV-A funding? What is it for? What are the purposes of it? I see we have Stan on the call. Stan knows all about this, so feel free, Stan, to chime in with anything that you think is valuable for everyone else to know. And then we're going to talk about how does Classhook fit into these requirements. So Title IV-A funding has three main objectives. One is to provide a well-rounded education for students. It also focuses on improving student communities through health and safety. And then on the more instructional side, integrating digital literacy into education by improving how technology is used. So that can be anything from curriculum to software to devices. The purpose of this funding is to be supplemental and in addition to other sources of funding. And I think there were in the last couple of years over $1 billion of funds for Title IV-A given from Congress to the states. So the way it works is each state gets some allocation of funding based on the Title I funding formula. So let's say your school normally gets $100 and that's 10% of the $1,000 given out. You'll get 10% of the Title IV-A funds that would normally be given to allocated to states. And so that might be, probably less than Title I. And then the states allocate the funds to the districts using that same formula. So you normally get, for example, $5 out of $20 from Title I. If there's only $10 available for Title IV-A, you'll get $2 out of that, $2.50, half of that. Now, there are a few requirements if you receive certain amounts of funds, certain allocations. So if you receive over 30K of Title IV-A funds, there are certain ways you need to use it. You need to conduct a needs assessment, and you need to spend 20% on certain areas. So safe and healthy schools and 20% on well-rounded education programs. And in Stan is saying here as well, you do have to spend some on effective use of technology. So you have to spend the funds in certain allocations if you're receiving over 30K. If you're not receiving 30K, there aren't the same requirements, but you do still have to spend in one of the three categories. And so talking about what students' needs are today, Title IV-A is geared towards helping meet the needs of students. And one of the things that we're noticing at Classhook is that students need relevance, and you might be seeing this in your districts as well, that students need a way to connect their learning to their lives and personal interests, because they're constantly asking, why am I learning this? Or why is this important? And They're watching TikTok, they're watching YouTube, they're getting information from a lot of sources. And so we need to make education more relevant for them. 89% of educators, according to Digital Promise, say that it's an urgent need to make learning more real, make learning more relevant for students. But just 22% of schools are actually making progress on this. And one of the reasons that it's really hard to find engaging content. There's this term in marketing and in business that content is king. And I think in education, content is one of the kings of the education space, because if you're able to effectively use content to get students engaged and show why learning is relevant, that's going to make their educational experience much more streamlined and much more effective. So just imagine you're showing a documentary from the 50s. I don't think today's students are really going to resonate very well with that. But if you're showing something from a modern documentary or from Netflix, it's going to resonate much more with them. So we found that teachers are spending up to 2 hours every lesson just trying to find a video that meets their criteria. And that's the core, one of the core problems of making learning relevant. It's just too hard to find great content. It needs to be age appropriate, aligned to standards, and the drill. And I know we have many people in the curriculum space here, so you probably have heard this from teachers that it's just too hard or it takes too long to find a video. Now, just a little bit about what we do at ClassHook is we help streamline that process of finding videos and using it effectively in the classroom, so you could get to increasing student engagement, teaching digital literacy, teaching a whole host of other subjects that do provide a well-rounded education. And Elena will get to that in a little bit. But we're a web platform that helps students connect to their learning. So we'll connect popular media content to the curriculum so students can create these real-world connections. And that we do that with two parts. One is we compile the educational scenes from popular TV shows and movies and put them on our platform. So you can watch The Simpsons, you can watch The Office, you can watch Frozen, and we'll get all those nice scenes for you and put them in one place. We have over 7,000 video clips on the platform representing 20+ subjects. So it's actually crazy what you can find in TV shows and movies. And then we help teachers use that effectively through a discussion platform. So you can ask students questions, you can solicit their responses, you can teach vocabulary, and we'll dive into those features a little bit later in the presentation. So I'll pass it off to Elena to show how ClassHook contributes to the use of Title IV-A funding, particularly in teaching skills like digital literacy, well-rounded education, and improving the effective use of technology.
So first, I think we should define what a well-rounded education is. And a well-rounded education includes courses, activities, and programming that does two things. First of all of those have to include many different subjects and teach things like English, or language in general, science, geography, etc. And then also, second of all, an education that works to provide its students with an enhanced curriculum that goes far beyond maybe a conventional way of teaching students. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how ClassHook supports this definition of a well-rounded education. So first of all, ClassHook supports the first part of the definition because, as you can see here, ClassHook provides educational content in a wide variety of topics, as seen here: philosophy and theology, science, business, the arts, health, and it helps students understand concepts in a non-conventional way, giving them access to resources that teach them about over 20+ subject areas and that are also focused on skills. It looks like there's some sort of issue with screen sharing.
You can continue, Elena. I just asked in the chat if anyone else is able to see, please let us know. Okay, yeah, so Donna, maybe refresh, feel free to rejoin the meeting. We can also consider resharing. Yeah, check your Zoom again.
So the second part of the definition of a well-rounded education is also supported by ClassHook because ClassHook makes a very intentional effort to keep students engaged. That's kind of its main like its thing, by giving them access to an enhanced curriculum that uses all these clips. It not only helps students illustrate these concepts that they're learning about in the classroom, but also ask questions about them and reflect on them. As we can see in the slide, for example, this is one of ClassHook's features, and it helps create active learning experiences for students through discussion and discussion features, through, for example, pause prompts, which are a way to insert time-stamped questions into videos. And it helps promote student voices, giving them an opportunity to share their thoughts and demonstrate their knowledge. Okay, so ClassHook also works to improve academic outcomes, which is one of its main focuses as well. And it uses these videos and it helps teachers use these videos in the classroom in order to boost academic achievement, again, by keeping students engaged. So shifting from passive video watching or film watching, for example, in schools, to active participation and to watching short clips where you can keep students engaged and asking questions and thinking about them. And then by involving all students in the discussion and performing checks for understanding, as we already saw. So yeah, that's kind of the intention behind a well-rounded education, is to improve academic outcomes as well.
And something else to add here is that ClassHook's really focused on effective video use. So teachers are using videos in a variety of different ways. Your teachers may be using it to show short clips. They might be showing full movies on YouTube. And one of the things that we really want to focus on is helping teachers both level up the way they use video, using video in a greater variety of ways, and also using video in ways that are really conducive to learning. So showing a full movie in class, maybe not the best use of instructional time, good for a treat for the students, but we see a lot of teachers doing that. And we're saying, hey, why are you showing the full movie? There's tons of filler content. Go to ClassHook, you can get just the short bits that are straight into the point. So I just wanted to add a little bit of clarity there. That's what we're trying to do. And you'll see in the features that Elena is going to talk about how we're trying to actually level up the way they're using videos.
So here's a list of some of ClassHook's features, which include discussion questions, a vocabulary finder, movie recommendations, profanity detection, and we can see in the slide an image also of ClassHook's website where you can search for clips by standards by looking at the grade level, entering a standard code or search term, etc. So all of these also try to work towards improving digital citizenship, and by comparing clips to you improve students' media literacy and help them understand fact from fiction and identify knowing the source of the information, for example, which is another great thing that you can take away from ClassHook.
And something else to add here is I'm not sure if many of you are, I think, in New Hampshire. In states like New York, they're experimenting with media literacy requirements in the states. And so that might soon be coming to your states if it's not there already. This requirement to teach students media literacy skills. And through many of these features, you can teach those skills as part of normal instruction. So if you're having kids, for example, compare World War II propaganda between the US and Nazi Germany, you're helping them distinguish fact from fiction or bias, identify who's the source of the media, right? These are media literacy skills they need to learn, but also you're teaching them about that historical time period. So it's a great way to include all these sorts of different concepts that are you might consider ancillary, but also important. And Stan, okay, thank you for clarifying. So there is a requirement for digital literacy, which includes media literacy. So this is perfect for your schools and your districts.
So next, we're going to kind of talk about digital literacy in and of itself and why it's important. So as of today, an estimated 31.8 million Americans are digitally illiterate. And this is important because digital literacy is not just a skill of its own, but it's also one that helps develop other skills such as communicating, transacting, being safe and responsible online, which are all really, really important nowadays, especially when you're teaching little kids. They need to learn, especially from a young age, how to stay safe online, how to communicate well online, what to say, what not to say. And then additionally, digital skills are necessary in modern society. We're online more than ever. We communicate online more than ever, and it's needed for or we use technology in almost every area of our everyday life.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Elena. That was our presentation. We're happy to answer questions. We wanted to leave enough time at the end because we know some of the topics here could lead to a lot of specific situations for your school or your district or your state. So we're opening it up now to questions. You can feel free to put those in the chat, or you can unmute, and we'd love to see you on video or hear your voice. Also, something to note is we do have a link here that we will share out with you in the chat. If you want to learn a little more about ClassHook, you want to schedule a demo, we're happy to talk to you about it. We're also happy to clarify anything on the presentation here. I'm gonna stop my sharing so we can keep it open and see everyone here. So let me get that link for you in just a second. Yes, and thank you, Stan. We are partnered with the NHSTE, so you can actually get ClassHook at a discount for New Hampshire-based educators in schools and districts. Thanks, Donna. Thanks, Stan. We'll leave it open for another minute for any questions. As a reminder, we will send out the slides, we'll send out the recording. If you have questions, you can review those, and you can always contact our team as well. Okay, well, thank you all very much. Hope you have a wonderful day. We'll send these communications out to you, and don't hesitate to get in touch if you need anything. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.